What's an outdated technology you will never stop using? Since I work in an industrial setting, probably Windows XP. Real buttons. For heaven's sake, not everything has to be touchscreen compatible. Notebook and pen to take notes. Handheld can openers. Dependable, fast, and portable. Drawing with a piece of paper and a pencil. You just can't beat it. My analog watch with the hour, minute, and second hands. Which cancelled celebrity were you previously a fan of? This one goes way past cancelled, but I was a big fan of Lost Prophets. Now I just feel shitty when one of their songs pops in my head. Don't know if this counts exactly, but Chris Benoit. Dude was one of my childhood heroes. That was an intense couple of days. Jared the Subway guy. We all wished that we could lose weight and get paid millions of dollars to eat Subway sandwiches. If we only knew. Cosby, for his stand-up comedy rather than shows he's done. Honestly, it's the celebrities that haven't been cancelled that blow my mind the most. Chris Brown being at the top of my list. Kevin Spacey. What criminal committed an almost perfect crime, and what was the thing that messed it up? The Dunbar armored robbery, the largest cash heist in U.S. history. A 6-man inside job to rob an armored cash depot. They set up a house party as an alibi, used the keys to get into the cafeteria, and waited in there until all employees came in on break. Then ambushed and subdued them without firing a shot or raising an alarm. They then loaded the money bags, with over $18 million, into a U-Haul, destroyed the CCTV tapes and returned to the party. Then they sat on the money for 6 months before hiring a crooked lawyer to set up a real estate money laundering scheme to avoid suspicion. 2 years after the robbery, one of the men paid a real estate broker with a stack of money still wrapped in the original currency strap. The broker immediately reported it to the police. After being arrested, he cracked under interrogation, confessed to the robbery, and ratted out his partners. Edit. All the men have since finished their prison sentences. And most of the money was never found. So there's a chance they still won in the end. That one dude who robbed a bank by hiring a bunch of people from Craigslist to show up wearing the same outfit he was in, wait outside, he would have gotten away, but a homeless man saw him do a practice run the day before and after the robbery, told the police. The Antwerp diamond heist. The perfect heist of the century, where an Italian gang stole 100 million in gems. While leaving Antwerp, they disposed of the disguises and the tools used. But one member of the gang was too lazy to burn everything as instructed. Among the rubbish, the police found envelopes of the Antwerp Diamond Center and a receipt for a sandwich bought at a store close to the center. They recovered video footage of the sandwich store and busted the mastermind of the heist, who didn't give up his mates. But some were later identified. Some of the stolen diamonds are still unaccounted for. That Australian kid who hacked the FBI and put his photos on their website. He scrubbed the metadata from the photo so it wouldn't show the GPS location. Then he accidentally uploaded the original with that information still on it. Harold Shipman, seemingly a normal GP, turns out to be a prolific serial killer with maybe up to 250 victims over his career. Only discovered when a hospital worker was concerned about the number of cremation forms they had to process for his elderly patients. So very close to going undetected. I knew a guy who got into selling drugs on the dark web. He had this setup where he'd buy the drugs and package them in his room, ship them through USPS, and collect money through cryptocurrency. He made a lot of money. Went on for a while without being caught. They even found fictionalized accounts he wrote about how he was able to do this, including driving 50 miles to make drops. He was caught when an employee noticed he was handling large numbers of small envelopes while wearing latex gloves and reported it. He probably would have gotten away with it if he'd worn winter gloves over the latex. What is a man-made object that was 100% created due to a fear of something? Panic room. Bunkers were created 100% due to a fear of potential threats, such as war or natural disasters. The Great Wall of China. The Svalbard Global Seed Vault. Tinfoil hats. After 9/11 you could buy a plexiglass box with gloves to put around your mailbox so you could be safe from anthrax letters. What is the funniest joke you've been told that you still think about to this day? A police officer pulls over a semi-truck. He gets the usual license and registration, but hears strange noises coming from the trailer. So he decides to investigate. Inside, he finds 50 penguins. "Sir, why do you have 50 penguins in your truck?" The officer asks the driver. "Well, they're my friends, and we like to go on journeys together in my truck," the man replies. "I'm sorry, sir, but you can't just own 50 penguins. I'm afraid you're going to have to take them to the zoo." The man agrees and drives off. The next day the same cop pulls the truck over again, and once again hears strange noises in the trailer. He goes to check and finds the same 50 penguins. "I thought I told you to take these penguins to the zoo yesterday." The cop angrily tells the driver, "I did take them to the zoo. They loved it. Today we're going to the beach." Norm told this best. A duck walks into a pub and orders a pint of beer and a ham sandwich. The bartender looks at him and says, "Hang on. You're a duck. I see your eyes are working," replies the duck. "And you can talk," exclaims the bartender. "I see your ears are working too," says the duck. "Now if you don't mind, can I have my beer and my sandwich please?" Quote, "Certainly. Sorry about that," says the bartender as he pours the duck a pint. "It's just we don't get many ducks in this pub. What are you doing around this way?" Quote, "I'm working on the building site across the road," explains the duck. "I'm a plasterer." The flabbergasted bartender cannot believe the duck and wants to learn more, but takes the hint when the duck pulls out a newspaper from his bag and proceeds to read it. So, the duck reads his paper, drinks his beer, eats his sandwich, bids the barman good day and leaves. The same thing happens for 2 weeks. Then one day the circus comes to town. The ringmaster comes into the pub for a pint and the bartender says to him, "You're with the circus, aren't you? Well, I know this duck that could be just brilliant in your circus. He talks, drinks beer, eats sandwiches, reads the newspaper and everything." Quote, "Sounds marvelous," says the ringmaster, handing over his business card. "Get him to give me a call." So the next day when the duck comes into the pub the bartender says, "Hey Mr. Duck, I reckon I can line you up with a top job, paying really good money. I'm always looking for the next job," says the duck. "Where is it?" Quote, "At the circus," says the bartender. "The circus?" repeats the duck. "That's right," replies the bartender. "The circus?" the duck asks again. "With the big tent?" Quote, "Yeah," the bartender replies. "With all the animals who live in cages, and performers who live in caravans," says the duck. "Of course," the bartender replies. "And the tent has canvas sides and a big canvas roof with a hole in the middle?" persists the duck. "That's right," says the bartender. The duck shakes his head in amazement and says, "What would they want with a plasterer?" Quote, "An Irishman walks into a bar. He orders 2 shots, drinks them both, and then leaves. The next day, the Irishman returns, orders another 2 shots, drinks them both, and then leaves. He continues to do this for some time. When one day the bartender questions him, 'How come you always order exactly 2 shots?' Quote, The Irishman replies, "Well, you see, my brother and I used to go out drinking every night. But he lives across the country now. So every night, I order 2 drinks. One for myself, and one for my brother." Things remain the same for a while until one day the Irishman comes in and orders only 1 shot. The bartender becomes concerned and asks him, "How come you're only ordering 1 shot? Did something happen to your brother? Is he okay?" Quote, the Irishman replies, "Of course not. My brother's fine. I just quit drinking." A priest, an imam, and a rabbit go to donate blood. The nurse asks, "Do any of you know your blood group?" Quote, the rabbit says, "I think I'm a type O. My friend got me an elephant for my room. I said thanks and she said, don't mention it." A man walked into a bar, sat down, and ordered a beer. As he sipped the beer, he heard a soothing voice say, "Nice tie." Looking around, he noticed that the bar was empty except for himself and the bartender at the end of the bar. A few sips later, the voice said, "Beautiful shirt." At this, the man called the bartender over. "Hey, I must be losing my mind," he told the bartender. "I keep hearing these voices saying nice things. And there's not a soul in here but us." "It's the peanuts," answered the bartender. "Say what?" Quote, "You heard me," said the barkeep. "It's the peanuts. They're complimentary. Subscribe, my brothers."